On page D370, the governor proposes cutting $200 million in snowplow operations. Now, the question I have for you is the following. In FY24, the budget expended $71 million. In FY25, it was $87 million. FY26 was $210. We had a lot of snow. How did we get to a $10 million number?
Thank you for the question, Assemblyman. So as you mentioned, the reduction is reflective of the snow supplemental not being part of the 27, right? The $10 million you're referencing is the department's base snow budget. Anything greater than that is reimbursed to the department through a supplemental appropriation. Historically, again, snow is very volatile, right? Difficult to predict. This year was incredibly impactful.
Yeah.
But historically, the department has, through a period of time, we average about a $63 million snow supplemental.
Right. I mean, that 71, 87, so you're averaging. Yeah. So you're saying then that we should all expect a supplemental request coming in to the tune of $50 to $60 million?
Well, I would say
based on past averages.
Based on past averages, obviously, this year was our most impactful, and there's been other years that have been less impactful.
So then, why not just put in for the average amount?
I would have to defer to the Treasury on that.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. That's all I have for you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Acting Governor. Good afternoon. So, first, I want to say, last year you had your strike. This year you have FIFA. So I'm going to set up a Kalshi account. Can you just tell me what's coming next year so I can just get ahead of it before?
I wish I could tell you.
Thanks. We'll talk offline.
Yeah.
First question. Your board has given you wide latitude with regards to the World Cup. So, where do you anticipate staffing to be?
So on the latitude question, the reason why the board gave me that latitude is, for example, there are service roads that connect from the Turnpike into the Meadowlands complex that are owned by Sports and Exposition Authority and sometimes even American Dream. Instead of going back to the board and getting authorization to enter into MOUs, we thought it was faster to just give me authority with the consent of the chair. So it's not like we're going to have me doing without any visibility to it. On staffing, we will have, again, this will be the most people we've ever moved, Assemblyman. We would have enough staff to essentially do 4 hours of people before. During the matches, there'll be service, and then 3 hours after.
Where do you think so it's 3 hours on the back end?
Yep.
So where do you think your overtime is going to land?
That's accounted for in our budget that we presented. So the reason why this is significantly different than a Taylor Swift concert or even a regular Giants and Jets game is because to move 40,000 people, we need a significant amount of crew, signal people, mechanics to do that. So, yeah, this will be a big operation.
So, you mentioned it before. How much does the Turnpike Authority give to New Jersey Transit?
$485 million in this year's budget.
Okay. So, do you do that in the budget documents itself, or you guys are able to do it internally?
Nope. Every year, the Turnpike approves as part of its budget, and then it's accounted for in our budget, and we show it transparently to in putting together a New Jersey Transit budget, what the expectation is.
Right, so the Turnpike Board approves it in their budget?
Yes, sir.
Nothing that comes before the legislature?
Nope.
So let's say money got tight, right? And New Jersey Transit, and the Turnpike is roughly giving you a little over $500 million. Do you foresee a scenario where you have to go back to Turnpike to ask for more? Like, where do you go to make up that shortfall, should there be one?
So on the Turnpike stuff, that is by agreement. So there is not like I can go back and ask for more money. Okay. So there's a set schedule of what the Turnpike is going to give us. and it gets approved by the board as their budget, and then it comes to us, and then we approve it. If there is a shortfall in let's say next year's budget or the year after's budget, that is a discussion that we will have to have with the legislature and the governor as when we put our budgets together.
Well, no, I'm saying, what if there's a shortfall in FY '27 as a result of cost overruns associated with the World Cup? Where do you go at New Jersey Transit to make
Got
up
it.
that hole?
So let me distinguish that. The reason why we calibrated the number at $6 million a match is because we went through every category of expense to make sure we account for overtime, we account for mechanical costs, cost to communicate, security. That's how we came up with a number. And the schedule we've come up with accounts for all the staff we need for all 8 games, including overtime and including having extra people. So I don't envision a scenario in which the cost will be higher than $6 million.
Okay. So we won't hear then,
Nope,
we need more?
nope.
Okay, very good. Next question for you. Assemblyman Aziz mentioned it before on the park and rides leading up to it. Can we just, either it's you or the commissioner, where are people going to be dropped off that are either taking a black car or an Uber or some other ride share?
Yep, so the ride share lot, so by the way, I was given the answer when the Assemblyman comes back, I'll answer this too. The park and ride that the host committee is operating is at Hackensack, and that's 2,500 spaces. So just, that's a separate matter. The ride share lot is near the racetrack. That's
Okay.
where the state police and everybody has decided from a security standpoint. That's the closest place. They have sufficient land, sufficient parking spaces where people will be dropped off, and there's a very controlled corridor in once people are dropped off there where their tickets are checked, and then they'll be let into the thing before they get into the stadium. All the other spaces, the 4,700 spaces that the FIFA has, are at American Dream.
So we hear during moments of crisis, nefarious actors who get accused of price gouging, right? Assemblyman Aziz referenced where his parents live, roughly. So if somebody decides to say, hey, I've got a really long driveway, I will sell you parking spots in my driveway to these matches, and then I will run a ride share from my house to MetLife. A, how do you control pricing?
Yep.
And B, can they get in?
So controlling the pricing is precisely why we have said, the state police, by the way, has led the charge on this, and I'm so appreciative of the Lieutenant Colonel Sorotowicz for being so forceful on this. We are saying in no uncertain terms, unauthorized vehicles, unlicensed vehicles will not be welcome into the Meadowlands complex. I just want you to be clear about that. So if you're an Uber company or Lyft, they have relationship with the host committee, and there is a specified route that they're going to take to get there.
Okay.
If they're host committee buses that the host committee runs, they'll be specified. My trains and the buses will have a specific route. There's more than enough capacity to run all the services needed to get the 78,000 people into the stadium.
No, I'm saying if somebody decides to do this, I
Yep.
have a TLC license
Yep.
plate, right?
Yep.
That was for you, Avi, TLC license plate. New York reference. Can I still bring people in?
The state police and us have said there's really no place for you to come into the complex. Having said that, we are working with the state police to essentially have a cordoned off area far enough where we can get them dropped off and still get the people into the stadium safely. But I will tell you, if that TLC driver at the end of the game thinks he's going to wait at the shoulder of the New Jersey Turnpike, he's mistaken. His car either will be towed or he'll be ticketed. If he thinks he's going to wait in a neighborhood street, the host committee and the state police are communicating very vocally with all the municipalities that people shouldn't be loitering around in neighborhoods waiting for rides to come because there's no place for them to stand.
Okay, all right. So getting to actual operations for New Jersey Transit for this, I know you've talked about trains.
Yep.
Right? And you mentioned earlier cross-honoring fares and things of that nature. If it's 4 hours on the front end and 3 hours on the back end, are you increasing New Jersey Transit buses at Port Authority Bus Terminal?
All our buses, and we've been working closely with PATH. PATH, as you know, is a block and a half away from Penn Station.
Yep.
So between PATH, between Port Authority buses, obviously Amtrak, should you choose it, and ferries, all our mobility plans that we run through Assemblyman show there's ample capacity to do it, because it's no different than an average day when the Portal Bridge project was going on.
Yep.
That's a great example of how that was even extra, because all the trains were being diverted that go to Midtown were being diverted to Hoboken, and we were able to handle it. So for these 4 hours, for those 8 days, as again, 4 are on weekends.
Right, so-
we think we can manage.
So, right, so, because we talked about this, so in my district, you've got Ridgewood.
Yep.
Right, the bus terminal there, and then you've got both the Park and Ride in Wayne on 23.
Yep.
As well as at Willowbrook Mall. So those residents coming in and out of work in New York by taking the bus should not be impacted on those 4 days during the week.
And if you're going in, you won't be impacted before
And
the
then
game.
coming out, you won't
Coming
be
out,
impacted either.
won't be impacted, because only trains going into Penn Station will be impacted.
Okay, so what do you do with buses that actually move people in and around the stadium because they work there?
Yep, so we are working with American Dream and the host committee, because there are not only MetLife employees who have to get to the game, and American Dream folks who have to get to work. So we have talked to them about, for the volunteers, I believe we already have a deal with MetLife to essentially give them a special pass so they can get to work. And with American Dream, we're waiting most of their people either come from Penn Station, or they take 2 bus lines in Bergen County. We're working to see if we can time those buses accordingly. Happy to provide them help.
So, but what if so I just looked it up earlier
Yeah.
on your new app, by the way. The 160 bus, right, which runs from Elmwood Park to the Port Authority Bus Terminal, it stops on Patterson
Plank
and
Road. Yep.
Gotham, I think it is,
Yep.
right? Like, which is literally the corner. There's hotels there, there's other businesses there that have nothing to do with the World Cup. So what does somebody do when they're going to work?
Great. That is exactly the issue we actually solved during Taylor Swift and Beyonce. For those events, those but will not stop at Patterson Plank. It'll just go half a mile up. So, because what happened is, before we changed the schedule, people figured out that they can go to Port Authority, people going to the event, not
Yep.
the person working. They can go to the Port Authority, get on the bus, and get off at Patterson and Gotham and get to the event.
Yeah, it's
And
$3 bus
basically,
ticket,
the
right?
person who was leaving work didn't have a spot to sit in. So we have manipulated our schedule just for those 8 games, so that buses will not stop either at Meadowlands, for security reasons, that's a broader issue I'm happy
Sure,
to talk
right.
about, but at Patterson Plank and Gotham, so it goes 3-4 stops out.
So, but if you're working, you get off but my point is, they'll
Yes.
still be able to get to work.
Yes.
And is there an increase in fare?
No, sir.
No increase in their
Nope.
fares? Okay.
Unless you're going to FIFA.
Unless you're going to figure,
Yep.
yes, understood. So if you were getting off there because you work at a hotel there, it's
Nope.
not going to matter?
Nope.
Okay, very good. That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you.